Live, this is 24-hour News 8.
This was an opportunity to say, being a good leader, it's time to step up and say, okay, take a position.
We're going to have a floor fight, and we are going to make this as painful on them as possible.
Votes are now cast as tensions boil over in Lansing as the legislature takes up the controversial right-to-work issue.
From inside the Capitol Rotunda, down the steps and outside on the grounds, protests have been going strong since this morning. Police arrested several people. They had to use pepper spray when protesters tried to rush into the Senate chamber.
24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey has more on the protest, but we start tonight with political reporter Rick Albin live in Lansing, where the State House just voted on one of two bills on this issue. Rick?
That's probably the only vote the House will take. I'll tell you why that's less important than some of the other developments today, but let's start with what one operative here in the state told me. A longtime former member of both the House and Senate, somebody who has been around this town a long time. He says he believes this is likely the most sweeping policy change since the 1964 Convention on the Constitution here in the state of Michigan. That is a very big statement. And here's how it all started. Earlier today, Governor Rick Snyder, along with the Senate Majority Leader Randy Richardville and Speaker of the House Jace Bolger, along with some union representatives who said they supported right to work, sat down in the Romney building to make it official. They rolled out their plan to pass these bills in the lame duck session and make right to work the law of the land in Michigan. To put that in perspective, here in a very heavily union state over the years, a state that is the home of Walter Reuther, one of the fathers of the unions, will become the 24th state in the top half to become right to work. That is a significant development. So what happened after that? Both the Senate and House started taking up legislation. The curious part of that, however, is it is the Senate bills, the ones that have not yet been voted on, that will ultimately move to the House, and the ones that I believe will become law. The vote in the House may have been more procedural or at least ceremonial, and that vote was interrupted when Democrats bolted from the chamber, saying that since the whole Capitol had been shut down for most of the afternoon, since the building wasn't open to the people, they said, although there were many people inside, they said that the vote couldn't be taken. After they left the chamber, they went outside. They demanded to get back in. Ultimately, they opened the Capitol back up. They went back in. The vote was taken. And of course, right to work passed over in the House. But again, I think that bill may be more ceremonial. I think the two bills that will ultimately get on the governor's desk are over in the Senate right now. Already 14 amendments have been offered on the first bill. They have a second bill to vote on. I've been told by those in the Senate they will stay here tonight until those bills have been voted out. Then at least one of them has to lay over for 5 days before the House can take it up. House will take it up early next week, presumably, and we believe lame duck will continue even after those votes are taken. That was not the perception yesterday when it was thought they might just vote on right to work and then go home. So what does that mean in terms of more protests? What does it mean for those House members who have to go home and for the next 5 days hear the calls from their constituents and others saying they oppose right to work? Will it change anything here? Will right to work actually become the law of the state? Well, coming up tonight at 5:30, you'll hear from both Governor Snyder and from Democratic leader in the Senate, Gretchen Whitmer. They have two very different takes, but right now it would appear that right to work is on its way to passage, at least in the Senate, and sometime next week the House will take it up again. We'll see if the outcome is the same there. Live in Lansing, I'm Rick Albin. Back to you.